This is Gareth Southgate, and this is the Three Lions podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Three Lions podcast. My name is Russell Osborne and this is an independent England football supporters podcast. There we have it. I think these last two games have finally concluded the 2022-23 season. Sure seems like it's been a long one, doesn't it? A season where England have played 11 times, winning 7, drawing twice and losing twice. Of course, it took in the Qatar World Cup, but it was a season of 31 goals, 8 of which belonged to Harry Kane. Overall, a successful season, I'd say. Sure, we'd have liked to have passed France in the World Cup, but it wasn't to be, was it? But onwards from there, we are in a great position at the moment, one which I'll cover in this episode, courtesy of a few friends of the podcast. And whilst the men's season is over, don't forget the Women's World Cup begins very soon, so our attention will be turning to that. So stay subscribed and you won't miss it. But don't forget, you can follow the podcast on social media, on the likes of Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. Just search Three Lions Podcast. Now let's talk Malta first. It's my pleasure to welcome back to the podcast Aidan Smith from threelions.net, and also he brings us tacticallyspeaking.co.uk, which I think fits in quite well when we're going to be discussing this particular match. Aidan, hello there.
Hi Russell, how are you?
Oh, very well, thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, very well, thank you. It's great to be back on.
Always welcome, always welcome. We are, as I say, we're talking Malta. I'm sure everyone knows it was a 4-0 victory in which England, I think, barely got out of third gear, I think really would be a safe way of putting it. You agree?
Yeah, I think it was pretty comprehensive, wasn't it? I mean, anyone who supposes that this game is going to be a walkover, Malta aren't whipping boys. You know, it's very easy when we're as good as we are at the moment to be looking at Malta and comparing them to a San Marino, but that's certainly not what we should be doing. Malta have got a new manager. They're a very well drilled side at the moment, but we made what could have been a potential banana skin look really, really comfortable, and that's what we've been doing quite consistently now for a while. I thought it was a really good display, especially in the first half. Very clinical. We didn't create too many chances, but the ones that we did, we took, and they were chances of real high quality.
Yeah, no, you're right. Let's just remind ourselves of the starting 11. Well, it was a 4-3-3 formation. Pickford in goal, Trippier, Shaw, Rice, Gay, Maguire, Saka, Henderson, Kane, Alexander-Arnold and Maddison. Initially, there was the own goal, which came about through Bukayo Saka crossing it in, although Harry Kane was pressing there. Trent Alexander-Arnold got us the second one with a fabulous strike. Harry Kane won a penalty and scored that. Callum Wilson done the same in the second half. I think Malta, they strung a few passes together, but to be honest, never really troubled Pickford in goal. Now, I think the main topic of conversation before the match even started was the selection of Trent Alexander-Arnold playing the number 10 role. And I think, as I say, with you, with your tactic heads on, it's be a great way to have a chat about that.
Yeah, well, I suppose that the first thing to say is that this has been a project that Gareth Southgate has wanted to implement for quite some time. It's very clear from his decision making. He actually played Trent in midfield a year or two ago against Andorra at Wembley,
That's
if you remember that one, for the first half at least. But it's a position that when you look at Trent Alexander-Arnold play, you can tell that he can play in that number 8 sort of role on the right side. It's been interesting actually since sort of the middle of that World Cup that we've just been through. The Wales game was the third group game, and from then on until now, we've been playing actually quite a defensive midfield 3. But it's worked really well for us, and we've been able to control games like we couldn't before. So we're no longer playing that kind of Mason Mount, Phil Foden kind of profile as a number 10. We've got 2 number 8s either side of Declan Rice, and I think it worked really, really nicely. Trent Alexander-Arnold, I mean, say what you want about him, but he's a really good player.
Yeah.
The only thing I would say is, I heard a lot of the post-match chat was about, and obviously this is the headline from the day. I totally understand that, but to suggest that we should be building a team around Trent Alexander-Arnold, or he's suddenly undroppable in midfield already, I think hold your horses on that one. He's played one game there. It's Malta. No disrespect to Malta, but it is one game. I'd love to see him play there again against Macedonia, because I think Southgate spoke to him about this about 4 weeks ago and told him that this was going to be the plan. Wanted to play him in midfield. Obviously, he's allowed to do that because Jurgen Klopp's been playing him in a midfield sort of role when they're in possession, Liverpool. So this was a little bit different in that Trent Alexander-Arnold, when England didn't have the ball, he was staying in midfield. He wasn't dropping back to a right-back position. But it's certainly something he's got in his locker. It's certainly something that I've been sort of pondering recently when I'm thinking about, actually, we don't really have an obvious replacement for Jordan Henderson when he starts to decline. I'm not saying that started just yet, but when it does, I mean, he's a very specific kind of player in our midfield that we definitely need. I mean, we've got the Declan Rice, who's really good at winning the ball back and making driving runs and sort of penetrating passes through the opposition midfield. And then Jude Bellingham obviously is box to box running.
Yeah.
But we don't really have another sort of playmaker who can work on that right hand side to whip balls in, or receive off the back four and sort of dictate the tempo of play with short lateral passes either side, and then long balls forward. So it was really good, because Trent Alexander-Arnold to me seems the most obvious replacement there, but he's not going to be going into a tournament unless he's got a bank of evidence playing there for England as well as Liverpool. But of course, that can only happen if he continues to play there for Liverpool.
That's right. And I mean, what you said there is he needs to play against the bigger teams, with the greatest respect to the likes of Malta and Andorra, to really show what he's capable of in an England shirt. And I must admit, when they mentioned about the Andorra game, it was the 4-0 home win back in September 2021. I'd totally forgotten about that. It really has been that long. But I mean, the way he began that game, just sort of dictating play as well, the through ball he put into Bukayo Saka to cross was pinpoint, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it's not news to anyone that Trent Alexander-Arnold has that in his locker. It's performing well. That performance against Malta was exactly the level that we know that he's capable of.
Yeah. In
an attacking sense. Defensively, I thought he responded really well as well to a very unfamiliar position for him. But yeah, let's take our time with this one. Don't get overexcited, because we've had this before with pretty much every player that's currently in the England team. I think we've talked about building a team around every single one of them at one point or another, and we know that in September it'll easily be another one again that we come away saying, oh, that was a fantastic performance. Surely they're undroppable. We have to build a team around them. We've had it with Rice, Bellingham. We've had it with Grealish, Foden. It's just it's silly talk, really, to suppose. I mean, we're not a team that really want to build a team around anyone in particular anyway. We shouldn't be wanting to do that. We're not a team of one star and then everything sort of revolves around them. That's not what we are. We've got really good individuals all over the pitch. We have no excuse for building a team around someone. I don't see why we'd do that. But yeah, no, on your point there, fantastic display from Trent Alexander-Arnold, and the goal to cap it off as well was just fantastic.
Wonderful goal from, I don't know what, I haven't seen what it was actually measured at, but it must have been 20, 21 yards.
Yeah, it was a few yards outside the box. Yeah, I mean, his first touch let him down a bit. I think he was going to try and drill it, but actually, thank goodness he didn't, because he whipped it fantastically into that back post. Caught
it really nicely and sweetly. Harry Kane, of course, got his obligatory goal. I think that was his 5th consecutive goal now for England. There was various stats flying around. His 56th England goal, his 50th competitive goal. I mean, 50th competitive goal is... Take a moment to think about that. That really is impressive.
It's just crazy. I mean, when you think about that, I mean, Rooney's record, obviously, he's just passed Rooney's record, which was 53. Harry Kane's now on 56, but Rooney was in the 30s for competitive goals. So this really is laudable, what Harry Kane's been doing. 6 goals that weren't in competitive matches. I mean, I know he's helped by the fact that there are fewer friendlies in the calendar nowadays.
This is true.
But you can't take anything away from him. He is such a professional, and whether it's from the spot or not, he knows his role, he knows his task, and he slotted it home really, really well. And actually, I was doing a bit of digging around. That was the first time that England have had 2 penalty takers who have both scored in the same game ever, which is just a ridiculous stat, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I mean that's such a common thing to happen. Actually, you'd think that would have happened at least 2 or 3 times, but yeah, first time ever. Callum Wilson and Harry Kane in the same game, both scoring.
There you go. Well, I didn't know that one, so yeah, nice one. I mean, Callum Wilson's penalty is another one of those VAR ones that he's. I think it was who was the co-commentator, and I think it's Andros Townsend. I think clearly knew that it wasn't a penalty, but it's just the letter of the law these days. But to Callum Wilson's credit, he put it in for his second England goal.
Yeah, he's been waiting a while. I mean, I know that we've been sort of dotting around different sort of profiles of understudy for Harry Kane. But yeah, I think when was his first? It was his debut goal, actually, wasn't it?
It was against Wales.
Yeah. No, USA.
Beg pardon? Yes, you're right. Yeah, I'm thinking of someone else.
That was in November 2018. So yeah, he's been waiting a while for that one. So yeah, very pleased for him. He's had a fantastic season. He's a really good profile of striker for England to work around because not too different to Harry Kane as well. He's really good at holding the ball up. He's got that burst of pace if he needs it as well, and he certainly showed that in the World Cup with a few cameo appearances. But yeah, no, really pleased for him. Yeah.
Well, moving on to Macedonia, or North Macedonia, as I should really call them. Do you see? Obviously, the Manchester City boys are probably going to make an impact or make a place for themselves. How do you see that game going?
Make no mistake, North Macedonia are a fantastic side. I mean, I understand that a lot of people will be looking at our group saying, "Oh, Malta, whipping boys, and North Macedonia must be rubbish because their name starts with North, so they must be pretty vocal." Do you know what I mean? That's exactly what people are going to be thinking. But we're in a 5-team qualifying group for a European Championships, in which 4 of the teams were at the last European Championships, including North Macedonia. So make no mistake, they made the last Euros. They could make this one again. They were very close to getting a point against Ukraine in a game that, by all accounts, they dominated. So this is going to be a tight game. It's not going to be a walkover. I imagine probably 2 or 3-0. We could easily concede. I've heard they're very good on the break. But yes, we'll see what happens. In terms of the squad selection, yeah, I expect to see Jack Grealish. John Stones will probably come back in. I don't see Gareth Southgate taking many risks with the starting lineup. I think he'll probably go for his favoured lineup or nearabouts. I know that we're missing Jude Bellingham and a few others at the moment, but I imagine we'll probably go. I mean, it was probably an indication, the fact that Bukayo Saka got brought off at half time just as a precaution. Maybe he's going to use Saka and Grealish, arguably at the moment our 2 most on form wingers. But yeah, I mean, we could see Eberechi Eze come on again. He might even get the start. I don't expect that, but he might even come on. I thought he was really, really good when he came on against Malta. Very energetic, had a good burst of pace, and he's a really skillful player. I think his call-up was overdue. There's been certain times at which he would have been in. Gareth's been open about that. But, you know, if not for injuries and certain other scenarios that have played a part. But, I was saying earlier, we don't so much play that number 10 sort of role anymore in midfield, but there's options. I mean, we moved midway through the second half to a sort of back 3 with 4 central midfielders, which is a common sort of system that many of the top teams have been playing this year. And it allowed us to get sort of 2 number 10s in there, as well as Declan Rice and Alexander-Arnold. So Eze and Foden played that role when both of them came on. So that's an exciting possibility as well. We might see that again midway through the second half. Might bring that in again. I think they're definitely trying a few things out. But yeah, it's not going to be overly experimental, because Gareth Southgate will know more than anyone that this is a game that we can slip up on. And so, the win against Italy and the win against Ukraine, both of which we made look very, very simple, don't count for anything unless we can beat North Macedonia.
Yeah. One thing I know you just mentioned him there, John Stones. I know you've done I think you've done a feature on him on your Tactically Speaking site. Obviously, he's had a great season, obviously, for Manchester City, but he's been played in that sort of midfield area rather than his centre-back position that we're more accustomed with England, seeing him alongside Harry Maguire. I think I know what the answer is, but would Gareth do it?
Well, he wouldn't do it in a traditional 4-3-3 system because that's not a system in which Stones has been in midfield. It's been this new formation that I just mentioned earlier with 4 central midfielders. Stones will be pushing up from a centre-back position. When we get on the ball, he'll come into midfield, but off the ball, he'll retreat and we'll make a back 4 again. Yes, I could see that quite easily, but Stones will not be playing in front of a back 4 against Macedonia, and nor should he. He's adapted really well to a midfield position, possibly in the past, I don't know, what's it been, 3 months, you could make a case for him being one of the best 10, 20 players in the world in that period of time. I think he's adapted really well. The main difference really between when you're on the ball, playing at centre-back and playing in defensive midfield is how you're receiving a pass. I mean, he's receiving with his back to goal now, with his, with opposition players sort of hustling him from behind, which is very difficult to adapt to, but he's done it seamlessly.
Hasn't he? Yeah.
But that does not mean to say that he will be playing in a midfield 3. No, not a chance. But also you've got to look at other factors such as if he does do that, who else is coming in at centre-back? Well, that's a position where we don't really have too many options at the moment, or not as many as in other areas of the field. So it wouldn't really be a logical move to do that in front of a back 4. But yeah, he could move up and sort of leave a back 3 behind him. That's certainly an option. And we may well see that.
We shall see. North Macedonia at Old Trafford. We will find out. Aidan, thank you very much as always for joining us. No doubt we'll speak again in the near future. But just tell us where we can find you on the likes of Twitter and the internet.
Yeah, well, my personal Twitter is Aidan the Smith, and my football tactics Twitter for the tacticallyspeaking.co.uk can be found at Home of Tactics.
So it's an interesting site if tactics is your thing. Aidan, thank you very much, and let's speak again.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. I'd love to.
My thanks to Aidan there. Always a good chat. So we are now Monday, 19th of June, and whilst Harry Styles' stage is being dismantled at Wembley, it means England are on the road again. The last time that happened was almost a year ago. For those that went, I'm sure you don't need to be reminded too much of that one. Hungary at Wolves. But this time it's Old Trafford, a venue we've not played at since 2007. And being the biggest stadium in the country, we've played there a few times whilst Wembley was being rebuilt. Of course, there was the draw with Greece that secured our place at the 2002 World Cup. But there have been plenty others, and this will be our 18th time there. First one being back in 1926. So, we go again. Manchester bound. There we go. So made it to Manchester city centre. Parked up. We've had a wander around Old Trafford just quickly. A few photographs. And we're headed into the centre. Had a quick pint at the Sawyer's Arms. And I'm just going for a general wander. And surprisingly, sun's out. Someone told me it always rains in Manchester, but not today. So I've come to one of the central parts of Manchester where there are a congregation of North Macedonian fans decked out in with their flags, like the yellow sun on the red background. There's flags waving, local music playing, all in the sunshine having a good time. Love it. Must be a good 150, 200 I reckon.
Be interesting to see how many fill the ground later on. Strange, despite the fact there being a fair few England fans knocking around the city centre here, loads of people don't know England are even playing. The amount of people have said, "Are England playing? What time's kick-off?" Well, makes you wonder how well promoted it is up here. I mean, I wouldn't have thought it needs to be promoted up here, but I don't know, it just doesn't seem like there's that much Manchester interest. Could be wrong, but perhaps they're done with football for the time being after Manchester City. In we are. What do they call this place? I think they call it the Theatre of Dreams, don't they? Old Trafford. So I'm in the Stretford end. It's 40 minutes before kick-off, and I found myself right down the bottom, right down the front, right by the players' tunnel. Often they, when you see them on the telly, you see the players come off along there, and they've got the usually all the Glazers out banners there, aren't there? I think. Obviously none tonight, but there are plenty of flags around already. Halifax Town, there's Nottingham Forest, Hereford up there. They've still got the Manchester United flags as well, Republica of Mancunia. But it's Bury, Rochdale. Just looking at the Sir Alex Ferguson stand, actually, I remember being here in 2001, I think it was, the Greece game, and sitting right at the very back, right at the back row. It's amazing how high that tier actually is. But it's been a long time since I've been here. And there's people say about it falling down. I don't know. It still seems all right to me, but then I don't come here on a regular basis. But the TV panel are there. Here we've got Stephen Gerrard, there's Joe Cole, Jill Scott, all being interviewed for, what is it now, Channel 4, isn't it, I think? But we are 3/4 of an hour before kick-off. At the moment, England have got a penalty. Harry Kane to take it. 7-0. Well done. Harry Kane scores from the spot. Scores in his 6th consecutive England game. Do you know, ages ago, I think I said that I think Harry Kane could make it 60 England goals during this qualification campaign. I think that's nailed on now. 7-0 England with 18 minutes to go. And there's his reward. It's been substituted off. So there we go. Come away from Old Trafford with a result that perhaps many didn't see coming. England 7, North Macedonia 0. Making our way back along the Manchester Ring Road at the moment, courtesy of my chauffeur, Gary from Channel England Football. Gary, you alright?
Yes, mate, good, thank you.
How was that?
Well, unbelievable, wasn't it? I think a few of us were saying 3 or 4, but 7 was just, you don't seem to get them nowadays, do you? But what a result and what a performance.
Absolutely. I mean, coming like hot on the heels of the 4-0 Malta game, I must admit, I thought despite the fact that Macedonia lost to Ukraine, I thought they would be a bit better than they actually turned out to be. Or did we just really decide to turn it on tonight?
Yeah, I think a bit of the both, really. I mean, it's the end of a long, hard season, and you think game Old Trafford, the group was more or less done and dusted anyway. So I just weren't expecting that sort of performance. I think we were fantastic, and every single player was phenomenal. Saka, Rashford, they were all absolutely unbelievable tonight.
Old Trafford, that's the first time I've been there. I'm sure
since the Olympics, I think. And I mean, there's been talk about Old Trafford being a little bit run down, a little bit. I certainly didn't get that impression. And basically, the supporters in the stands just were phenomenal. Were right behind England right from the get-go. It was a real fantastic atmosphere.
Yeah, I mean, coming off the back of that last home game, Ukraine at Wembley, it was night and day. And like you, I was expecting Old Trafford to, seats to be hanging off and, the paint and walls crumbling. But it was all right. It was still in good nick. It was a great ground. We were saying actually how deceiving the ground is, where it doesn't feel like there's 70,000 in there, but it was a good atmosphere from start to finish. I mean, 7 goals always helps, doesn't it?
Of course it does.
But no, it was really good. Really enjoyed it.
Let's just go through the team. Pickford was in goal. There was Walker, Shaw, Rice, Stones, Maguire, Saka, Henderson, Kane, Trent Alexander-Arnold and Marcus Rashford. So Southgate chose to put Trent again in the same position that he played against Malta. And again, he had a decent game, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. And I think he had to, given the fact of how well he played it, in Malta. And obviously the main criticism, like England fans do, was, he's only against Malta. So I thought, I think it was a good idea bringing him back in against North Macedonia, who technically should have been a step up again. But
you think so?
Yeah, but they were just, England were phenomenal. And Trent again had a really good game.
Do you know what? I think Pickford has had probably the easiest 2 games he's had all season.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what Everton's Premier League games have been like, but has he kept 2 clean sheets in the space of 4 days for Everton? He may have done, but he's had hardly anything to do, has he? Which is credit to the defence in front of him as well.
Yeah, I mean, those 2 games are a definition of stealing a living, aren't they? For Jordan Pickford. I mean, he's done nothing. And to be fair, you'd expect him to have done not a lot in these 2 games. But, people are going to say, why not bring in, Ramsdale for a few games? Well, what's the point if they still wouldn't have touched the ball either? So
that's true.
It's, it was literally, the defence have had nothing to do really across both games.
So I don't know what sort of minutes the goals came, but it took, I don't know, it might have been about 20 minutes for England to open the scoring. But we had opportunities to test their keeper. We were standing on the Stretford end. We had a good view of that first half. But it was Kane who opened the scoring, which, to be honest, I didn't really get a good view. I say we had a good view, but I didn't get a good view of that one.
No, it was just after some really good 1-2 work by Rashford and Shaw, I think, and Rashford was in it, and then it was a good save, and then they did it again, and it resulted in the goal. And everything seemed to come down that left arm, their left flank, our left flank, sorry. And it was a good goal. I think initially the game was starting to drag a little bit. We started well, but it was getting onto a thing. I don't know, like I said, I can't remember the time. It must have been about 20-25 minutes when it just started to slow down a bit. So the goal came at the right time, actually, to give it a boost.
Rashford was having I think he seemed to remember he had a couple of chances, or like a shot from the byline, and the keeper sort of saved it. But it was then Saka from the right hand side who smashed it in. He was like he went on his own.
Well, we thought we missed it. It was such a. I mean, he just put his laces through it, didn't he? And it was right in the roof of the net, and there was just no saving it.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the floodgates opened, didn't they?
It was then that Rashford got on the score sheet, and it was this one I seem to remember. There was a Henderson and Shaw sort of teaming up as well there, and Rashford sort of I think was on the edge of like 6-yard box to touch it home, or just in front of the keeper.
Yeah. I think Henderson had a good game. It was a bit like, reminded me of Gerrard in the days where he was just sat in midfield and pinging it out to the wings, and he was causing a lot of problems. But Rashford was a threat all night, and Saka was, and it was good to see them both, take players on. They were getting outnumbered. You could see that Macedonia were putting 2 or 3 players on them, but at the end of the day, when you run at players, they panic, and that's exactly what they did most of the night, and it caused all sorts of problems on both sides.
And I think that was half time. It was 3-0 at half time, and we think like game is done and dusted there. But we came out for the second half, and they were still ready to go again. And I think possibly would that be the goal of the game? Saka's second
Yeah.
from a Trent cross ping, whatever he'd done in the centre of the park that just Saka was able to run onto and literally just smash.
Yeah, he just smashed it in it straight in. It looked like top bins from where we were, but it might not have been given the fact we were at the opposite end of the ground. But yeah, it was clearly the goal of the game. And what was it? Like the first minute of the second half, it felt like. And then it was just, I think we were saying, it could even be double figures here.
Could have been, yeah. And then Saka, I think this one happened so quickly that Saka, for his hat-trick, which apparently is his first ever professional hat-trick of his career, just ran through, slotted past the keeper.
Yeah, I mean, it got to a point, didn't it, where their heads had gone. Macedonia, they weren't in the game, and it was just a matter of how many could England score, really. And there were many gaps opening up, and I remember just looking up, Saka's all of a sudden just running straight through and goal, like you said, and it was a simple goal for his hat-trick.
So Kane got his second of the game from the penalty spot. No one was going to take the ball off of him there, not whilst he was still on the pitch. And the one thing I realised halfway through the game, which I knew, really, I remember seeing it before, Old Trafford doesn't have any screens that you can watch the goals again or watch an incident of how a penalty may have come about. But I don't know, did Kane win the penalty? I think he did, to make it 6.
Yeah, I mean, that is a criticism. A lot of people were saying, particularly when you're at either end of the ground and you're low down, because you can't physically see what's going off half the time. You know something's gone off and you know roughly what's gone off, but it'd be nice to have a screen there, wouldn't it? And that's where it does probably show it needs a bit of improvement. But yeah, I can't recall if Kane did win the penalty or not, but we were laughing at the time because I think Wilson was just about to come on, wasn't he?
He was, yeah.
And we're just like, is he going to take Kane off just as he got the penalty? But he didn't, obviously. He let him take it.
And then Calvin Phillips, he came on as a substitute midway through the second half, and got his name on the score sheet. Which I'm thinking is that his first England goal.
It may well be, yeah.
I can't think off the top of my head. But yeah, so that was what made it 7-0, and I think all in all it was a pretty much a perfect England performance all round. Macedonia, I've got to say, they weren't good at all, but I kind of felt for their supporters after meeting them, a fair few of them before the game. They were a nice bunch of lads.
Yeah, I mean, we had a great time, didn't we? We were walking in Manchester City Centre, we came across a pub that was, literally covered in North Macedonian fans, and we were chatting with loads of them, and they were lovely fans, and some of them were optimistic. They thought maybe they could nick a draw, and to be fair to them, their history shows that they can do that. But yeah, I mean, we looked over, didn't we? And they were just all sat there, looking obviously quite depressed. So tough night for them, but they were still cheering at the end. So fair play to them.
We are still top of the league, top of Group C, are we? I think it's Group C, with 4 wins out of 4. Obviously, Italy haven't played in this international break because they've been in Nations League action, weren't they? The other game tonight was Ukraine against Malta. Ukraine won that by 1-0, so they've taken 6 points from this campaign. We've taken 6 points. I mean, we're pretty much done and dusted. I don't want to say it too much, but
get your tickets booked, lads, and ladies and gentlemen, just get them booked. We're there, aren't we? We're in Germany. I mean, I think we would have to lose to Malta, and it's basically impossible now that we're not going. So yeah, get your tickets booked.
Yes, here we go. The current table as it stands at the moment: England played 4, 12 points, goal difference of 14. Ukraine played 3, 6 points. Italy, of course, they played their 2 games, 3 points. North Macedonia played 3 points. Malta, bless them, played 4, no points, bottom. But all in all, I think Gareth can consider that a job well done.
Yeah, and it's just it's what we expect now from England. We were saying before, it wasn't long ago that teams like North Macedonia were coming here nicking draws against us, and now it's just, you can't imagine us doing anything but winning comfortably. And he's took us to another level, Gareth, and this campaign has just showed it, really.
He had a smile on his face as he walked off the pitch, and as he applauding the fans that were left. So that's our last game now until September. We are back in action. That is the Ukraine game, which has at this point in time, we still don't know.
Nobody knows where it is.
No one knows where it is. Yet people have booked up for wherever they think it's going to be, and that's going to be followed by Scotland in Hampden. That's
we're playing well. Yeah, they're playing well. They're picking up results out of Scotland.
Can't deny Scotland are playing well. Beat obviously Spain, beat obviously Norway, and
top of their group.
Yeah. I know it kind of feels a little bit strange when people are trying to sing Scotland get battered everywhere they go.
It's a good song to sing, don't get me wrong, but they're not at the minute. They're playing well, so it's going to make a really good game that at the end of the year.
Looking forward to that one. But let's make our way home into the night. It's going to be a late one. Don't forget you can find Gary on YouTube, Channel England Football. Now it's my pleasure to welcome back to the podcast CJ Joyner joins us. Hello, mate. You all right?
Hello, Russ. I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very well. 6 points from 2 games. Can't be bad, can it?
11 goals.
Yes, 11 goals as well. Yeah. Apparently, a couple of stats that I've heard. Apparently, that was the first time last night against North Macedonia that Saka and Rashford have played together for England.
Oh, I never thought of that.
No, neither did I until someone told me.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's these quirks. Sometimes that does happen. Like I think the 99 Man United team, I think they only played together like twice or something. Like their actual starting, like best starting 11. So
Really?
these sort of things do happen sometimes. Yeah. I think they only played to like what you call their first choice starting 11 only started like together twice that season. So
secret Man United fan, are you?
No.
No, I confirm you're a Coventry fan. So you went out to Malta and I caught up with you yesterday at Old Trafford. But go on, just tell us how was Malta?
Oh, fantastic. One of the best trips I've ever been on. It really did rank up there with Slovenia in 2015. It was just superb. I mean, obviously it helps being in June, and being probably pushing 30 degrees. But yeah, I mean, I might have felt slightly different about it if it was November. But it really was a good trip. Not really an ounce of trouble anywhere. So
it's always good to hear. Yeah, I saw a lot of photos, saw a lot of video footage of people in bars, people on beaches, people on boats. I know Block 109 had a boat trip, which seemed to go down well.
Yeah, that was quite successful. I mean, when we boarded initially, we thought maybe they've told us a little bit, like maybe they told us we could have 230 on there. And when we got there, we thought maybe it looks a bit overcrowded. But eventually, once everyone got on, it took probably 20 minutes to get a drink first time around. But then everyone kind of filtered around, went upstairs, and it was fine. Plenty of room. Yeah, it probably took, after that first drink, maybe 10 minutes to go to the bar. They had 4 people serving. It's quite successful. Everyone had a good time. Not too many decided to swim, which I was quite disappointed in, but properly choppy on the way back. Very, very, very choppy.
Like anyone hanging off the sides, were there?
Not on purpose, no. But the captain did seem a bit vigorous with the wheel.
Right.
But, I think a few maybe nearly ended up over there, but yeah, nobody did that on purpose.
Good stuff. Good. I know the boat trip was one of a few things that Block 109 have been doing lately, and I know you've done something sort of extra special whilst out in Malta, which I saw was the likes of Henry Winter gave it a plug on Twitter. It's about donating a defibrillator. Go on, John, tell us a little bit about that, how it all came about.
Well, so several weeks ago, I was looking through just to see which good cause we could donate to, and I saw the Ronald McDonald House logo, and straight away I thought, yeah, we're going to go with that. Because my eldest son, me and his mum stayed in one in Manchester way back when.
Do you want to just explain what a Ronald McDonald House is?
Well, but when you put those 2p coins or 50p coins or whatever, the 50p wouldn't be any good, but £1, rolls, and it goes in that kind of big plastic thing that goes round and round and round and round in McDonald's, or in the little boxes, or when you round up your transaction on the terminals as you've got them now. They go towards paying for somewhere to stay for parents and siblings of sick children. So they could be babies, anybody up to, I think, the age of 18, I think. Right. But that's what they do in this country. So next time you're in McDonald's, just chuck them a few pence, because it really will make a lot of difference. And I think, I'm sure McDonald's do kind of match every donation at least. So it's they do good work with that. And then, but over there they do something a little bit different, because obviously the hospitals, they're relatively close to the island's quite small. So what they've got is the learning centre. So one of the things they're doing at the moment is they're doing a project where they've got a local church involved. The church are providing, I think it's food and some sort of job training and things like that with the Ukrainian refugees that are there, and then they're providing English lessons. That's just one example of what they do. They use the centre to train assistance dogs. They use it for children with SEN. In particular autism and ADHD. So they do fantastic work there, and it's a really, really, really good cause. And either way, I've contacted Tonio. I just contacted them, and this chap called Tonio is actually doing his PhD at Leicester Uni. Okay. And he's Maltese, and he runs the centre there. And he basically explained what they did, and I said, "Yeah, look, we'll want to help you explain what Block 109 are all about." And they said, "Well, we're trying to raise money for a defibrillator. We've raised a few quid for that so far, but we need a bit more to kind of push it over the line." And I looked into it, and I said, "Look, we'll sort you out. We'll buy you one." So we bought one, took it over there, presented it to them. They gave us a tour all around the centre. Henry came with us actually. Okay. He had a look to see what we can actually do and what we can achieve with the kindness of yourself and lots of other people that donated over the years. And and it just shows what we can do when we come together. They're very appreciative. Hopefully it's one of these things that hopefully I don't want to say it's a waste of money, but hopefully it's something that's never used.
Exactly. Yeah, I get that entirely.
Yeah, like I said, wonderful what they do there. They carry on the Ronald McDonald House name. They proudly, like they do across the world. And but as I said, this one's a little bit different just because of the distances that parents have to travel. It's just a lot shorter. So, so it's excellent, really. And we're pleased that we could help them, and we're looking to see what we could do in Ukraine. We have already made quite a hefty donation into the UNICEF appeal. That was through Harry Maguire. We got in touch with him through someone else, and said, "Look, how will we? What can we do to kind of help a good cause that you might." That might be close to you, and all the players are all helping the UNICEF. A lot of the players are helping the UNICEF appeal. So we've already helped them, but we will try and do something else while we're there, wherever it might be. Hopefully Vienna, because that's what we booked into Bratislava. Yeah, and we'll do the same in North Macedonia as well.
Yeah, no, it's a grand job, and the way that sort of this money is funded is through, or this money is accumulated, is through various means, and one of those is like the monthly draw, which happens.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, so we mainly, to be honest, recently we've mainly been doing like the £109 donations. So we donated one to the women's deaf team. Yes, the England women's deaf team. They were trying to raise money to go to the World Championships, World Cup, and we donated a little bit into them, and they succeeded in raising the money, which is great. So we're pleased that we could play like a tiny little part in that. And there's been some lads that have, and girls actually, that ran the London Marathon. I think that there was another marathon as well that somebody ran. And we just donate again 109 into their pot, that England fans that are doing that, and other various other activities that people have been doing. So we just support. We offer support where we can.
Yeah, but if people want to get involved in the 109 draw, just to drop you a line or tweet you or something.
Yeah, send me a direct message or a tweet, and we can get involved. We can get you involved. It's just a £5 a month standing order. It's a few cash prizes, but we've got a few really decent prizes coming up. So like this month was a
baseball trip, wasn't there?
Yeah, that was. Unfortunately, it's not to Chicago, or it wasn't to watch the Cardinals or the Cubs play in America. Unfortunately, but it was it was at the London Stadium. So so we had somebody kindly donated a couple of tickets.
Marvellous.
And then we've also had a signed Hurst and Peters England shirt that was all framed, nicely done. That was drawn by Tonio actually. At the Ronald McDonald House. So we thought it'd be quite nice for him to draw that. Yeah. We do other things as well, like we run like a fantasy football league, things like that. Various other things as well. We've got badges as well, little pin badges.
Some snazzy enamel badges. That one I picked up off you yesterday at Old Trafford. Very nice, just a little block 109.
Yeah, so that they're kind of ticking along, and if anybody wants one of them, just get in touch and we'll sort you out.
Yeah. Well, let's round it off by just talking a little bit about North Macedonia at Old Trafford. That was quite a game, wasn't it?
Oh, some of the play was just sensational, wasn't it? I mean, I think just before the third goal, the third goal was just superb. But the passing and everything there. But just before that, there was a really good move. The keeper made a good save on. But it's like we just seem to be just constantly just playing so well throughout the whole game. Some people might say, "Oh, it's North Macedonia," but they're a good side. They're that mid-tier now that you'd say should make, say, 2 out of every 3 Euros. That they should push towards making the odd World Cup as well. And they've got some decent players there, and they're playing at a reasonable level. And we just blew them away, didn't we? We really did. And I mean, Saka was just sensational. Pickford, bless him, didn't have a lot to do, really.
Did he? No.
They did have a few chances, though. They did have a few chances where it kind of that they put a few balls into the box, and generally it's Maguire that cleared up.
They just didn't have anyone strong enough to finish, did they? And impose themselves. Yeah. And that's their next level. Yeah.
So Pandev's long gone, isn't he now? Unfortunately, so he's no longer there. So, which is a loss for international football, isn't it? And football in general, really. He's no longer playing for them. But I think to be honest with you, we really, like I said, we ripped them apart. We looked really, really impressive, and it just made a really good evening. Even better. Just playing there, the atmosphere was fantastic, and I didn't really hear any boos for Trent, Henderson.
No, you're right.
Grealish, anybody else that maybe considered a rival for Man United. That things that we don't want to see, but we have seen in the past, and that's fantastic. It's something that we can kind of we hopefully will see going forward. That everyone will just back the team they're there to watch, and they certainly did last night. And if anything, really, Grealish got the biggest cheer, and he had a nice chant being chanted about him, didn't he? And he seemed to enjoy that. Saka, though, he genuinely looked quite emotional at the end. He was the last one off the pitch, and just walking towards where the W105, like the home end, just walking towards there, you could see he was just kind of bewildered by it all, really. He always seems very happy, doesn't he? And he always just seems like, what's going on? How am I here?
It's such a journey that he's been
humble.
on. Yeah, very humble. Yeah. Such a journey when you consider that, I hate to bring it up, but 2 years ago to where he is now, and to almost a year from now, hopefully nothing sort of capitulates. We'll be there in Germany, and Saka is going to be a major part of that team.
He is, yeah. I mean, it's getting to the stage where the team almost picks itself. I think Mr. Guardiola will have a bit of a say this season, because we've seen it before. You look at Foden; he was obviously very young, but then we also had it took Stones a little bit of time to get involved there, like every week. We'll see what happens there with Phillips,
Yes.
and because at the moment Henderson seems to be the number one pick there, which I'm all for. I think he's
whilst he's doing nothing wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. But hopefully Phillips gets a bit more game time this year, and he will. He'll make things very difficult for Gareth. Hopefully.
Yeah, it's going to be.
And then there's one or two others. Pickford picks himself, doesn't he? And Stones, Maguire picks themselves. Walker, he seems to be the one there. Luke Shaw as well. He seems to be the one. Kane, obviously, and then so Saka's got to be in there, and you've got very few spaces left.
We're strong all round. Yeah, we are. That's strong.
It, isn't it? I mean, you look. Bellingham didn't play the other day. He hasn't played. He's had a continued rehab at St George's, hasn't he?
Yeah. Well, I think he's had something big on his mind recently.
Well, yeah, there is that as well. Yeah, that becoming a Galactico. Wearing that number 5 shirt as well. There, it's massive, isn't it? That is.
Isn't that what Jonathan Woodgate wore?
I can't. I don't know.
I wouldn't know. I'm just throwing
no. I don't. I mean, it was the Dan, wasn't it? So, of
course.
I mean, yeah. I mean, he was quite good. So he's got a little bit to live up to.
Yeah, he'll get there. He will get there. Absolutely.
He will. So, but we've got such a strong team there, and it's getting to the stage where it almost picks itself. Really, almost picks itself. Whether we go 4-3-3 or sort of 3-5-2 or 5-3-2, whichever way you want to look at it. It's sort of ways. Yeah, Kyle Walker's in the team, so it's going to be a 3-5-2 if anything, because he's very attack minded, isn't he? So yeah, I think we it's looking so good, and yeah, we're going to be one of the favourites for next year. We really are.
Exciting times. Looking forward to it. And still plenty of more good games to come. I'm just thinking of Scotland
and trips.
Yeah, the trips coming up,
and we're 12 out of 12, and tonight. Sorry to date the podcast for us. Tonight our friends north of the border, they could. I think they could go 12 for 12, couldn't they?
They could. Yes.
I think so. Yeah, and I think even Scotland couldn't stuff it up from where they are now. So I think they're pretty much qualified from that group, and fair play to them. Fair play to them.
Their time comes around. And this is their time. Anyway, CJ, always good to chat to you. Don't talk too much about Scotland. Let's keep it to England next time. But no,
especially when they're doing well.
Yeah. No, always good to speak to you. Well done. Huge well done on the defibrillator over in Malta, and big up to all the people that help out with 109, Block 109.
No problem.
Now, you may have seen the sad news of the passing of John Hollins. In a career that spanned 21 years, which included almost 600 Chelsea appearances and over 100 for both QPR and Arsenal. Now, John, he only earned one England cap. That came in 1967 under Alf Ramsey in a 2-0 victory over Spain at Wembley. He played a part in the opening goal, playing in the initial cross that was eventually scored by Jimmy Greaves. Now, whilst his playing career was a little earlier than my own memories, I do actually remember him being manager of Chelsea. He was there between 1985 and 1988, when Chelsea, they were a very different club to one that they are now. He then went on to manage some lower league clubs, the likes of Swansea, Rochdale and Crawley too. He was born on the 16th of July 1946 and passed away on the 14th of June 2023, aged 76. I'd like to express my condolences to his family and his friends. And that brings us to the end of this episode. My thanks go to Aidan Smith, Gary Lambert and to CJ Joyner, all of whom brought us a great insight to the pod. Go search them out on social media. And as I said, I'll be back with you very soon to take a look at the upcoming Women's World Cup and that friendly the Lionesses have against Portugal. I hope you can join me for it. So until then, take care of yourselves. Cheers.